Get down. The HOA enforcer bellowed, his black Glock aimed squarely at my daughter's head, all because her Jeep had overstayed a parking spot by a few minutes. But in a heartbeat, his sneer twisted into panic. The gun was still loaded, but it wasn't in his hands anymore. My daughter Nora had disarmed him in a blur of motion, her voice icy calm. I've trained special forces to neutralize threats in 37 ways. A parking ticket? That's the 38th. The neighborhood fell silent, every eye locked on the scene. 3 minutes later, sirens wailed as Cedar Valley police arrived. What followed wasn't just the end of a confrontation, it was the unraveling of an 8-year reign of terror that shook our community to its core and sparked a movement against corrupt HOAs nationwide. The look on that fake cop's face when he realized he'd picked the wrong fight is burned into my memory. It was a sunny Saturday in Cedar Valley, a tidy suburb where my wife Elise and I had lived for 15 years. I'm James Carter, a retired aerospace engineer, and we followed every absurd HOA rule: beige mailboxes, grass no taller than 2 inches, only approved flowers in our yard. Nora, our 36-year-old daughter, pulled up around noon in her rugged military-spec Jeep. She'd just finished a grueling 72-hour training session with her Green Beret trainees and driven 3 hours to visit. Exhaustion etched her face, sharp green eyes bloodshot, movements heavy but precise, like a machine running on fumes. "Dad, can you grab these boxes?" she called, unloading gear, including a security system she insisted on installing after nearby break-ins. She parked in the visitor's spot, technically limited to 30 minutes, but we were focused on hauling equipment into the house. Halfway through, her phone rang. Nora's expression shifted, concern, not fatigue. "It's one of my trainees," she said, stepping inside. "He's having a PTSD episode. Bad one." For 25 minutes, she sat on our couch, voice steady, guiding the young soldier through breathing exercises, coordinating with his base's crisis team. Elise and I listened, awed by her calm under pressure, helping a kid relive a brutal operations anniversary. By the time she hung up, Nora looked drained, rubbing her temples. "He'll be okay," she sighed. "But those mental battles are the toughest." Elise handed her water and painkillers, urging her to eat. We'd forgotten about the Jeep. Then came pounding on the door, aggressive, like a SWAT team raid. "Who's that?" I muttered, heading to answer. Standing there was Leonard Drake, the HOA's self-styled security chief, in a knockoff police uniform with a poorly stitched HOA patch. At 58, Drake, a former mall cop fired for roughing up a teen, thrived on power. "Move that Jeep now," he barked, clutching a clipboard, his pen digging into a violation notice. "It's been 43 minutes, 13 over the limit." His mirrored sunglasses hid a glint of glee. Nora appeared beside me, wiping her hands, her military posture snapping into place despite exhaustion. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, tone polite but firm, the one she used on stubborn officers. "I just finished a long training session and drove 3 hours. I had to unload equipment and take an emergency call. I'll move it in 15 minutes after I eat." Drake's scowl deepened. In 8 years under HOA President Margaret Vaughn, he'd become a neighborhood boogeyman. Seniors avoided him. "Rules are 30 minutes max," he snapped. "Tow trucks coming, $300 plus a $500 fine." He puffed out his chest, savoring the rulebook. "Wait," Nora said, her eyes narrowing slightly, a teenage tell I knew meant trouble. "I get the rules," she softened, "but I'm asking for leeway. I'm helping my parents after no sleep. Just 15 minutes. Drake, unmoved, pulled out his phone and started recording, shoving it in her face. "I'm documenting your refusal to comply," he sneered. "Troublemakers like you think rules don't apply." Nora sighed, choosing de-escalation. "I'm not refusing. I'm asking for accommodation. I'll move it soon." She turned to walk inside. That's when Drake grabbed her arm, his fingers bruising her bicep. "You don't walk away from me," he shouted. Neighbors peeked out. In a flash, Nora's training kicked in. She twisted free, disarmed his grab, and sent him stumbling into Elise's rose bushes. His sunglasses flew off, revealing panicked eyes. "You assaulted an officer," he screamed, thorns snagging his uniform. Nora, stunned at her reflex, muttered, "Muscle memory." "He grabbed me." Drake stormed off, dropping citations, yelling about real police. We didn't know he'd be back with a gun. 20 minutes later, car doors slammed. Drake marched up with 2 HOA lackeys, timid retiree George Hammond, who'd had his car towed by Drake once, and new resident Dr. Isabel Torres, a therapist looking confused, likely fed a tale of dangerous intruders. Nora, composed after breathing exercises, positioned herself between us and the door. "Let me handle this," she said, her voice low, like facing insurgents, not bureaucrats. Drake shouted, "Security! Come out! Pure TV cop!" Nora stepped onto the porch, blocking entry. Then, in a move that still haunts me, Drake yanked a Glock from his jacket, aiming at Nora's face, his hand trembling. On the ground, he roared, "You're under arrest for assault." George paled. Isabel gasped, stepping back. "You didn't mention guns," she stammered. Neighbors watched, phones out. Nora didn't flinch. In 2 seconds, she assessed, 12 feet to Drake, trembling trigger finger, witnesses across the street, escape routes. Her voice cut through, "Mr. Drake, you're committing a felony. Lower the weapon." Drake, lost in his power fantasy, shouted, "I'm the law here." His grip tightened, a prelude to firing. Nora moved, talking to distract him. "You don't want prison over a parking spot." She inched closer, then struck, disarming him with a wrist strike and arm twist. 8 seconds of struggle, Drake yelling, ended with him face down on our lawn, Nora holding the Glock, finger off the trigger. "Call 911, she instructed, calm as ever. "Armed assault, weapon secured." Officer Ramirez arrived, finding Nora restraining Drake amid scattered citations and ruined roses. She explained with precision, Drake's threat, her disarming, her training as a special forces instructor. "The firearm's safe," she said, showing the cleared chamber. Drake, cuffed in a patrol car, ranted about his authority. Ramirez took statements, but hours later at the station, the mood shifted. Margaret Vaughn stormed in with Police Chief Donnelly, her husband's golf buddy. "Misunderstanding," Donnelly declared, barely glancing at reports. "Drake was doing his job when attacked." He uncuffed Drake, returned his gun, and dismissed witnesses. "It's her word against his," he said, ignoring evidence. Margaret smirked. That night, we learned of an emergency HOA meeting to vote on evicting us, labeling Nora unstable. Nora didn't panic. She called her friend, lawyer Michael Brennan, an HOA overreach expert. "This isn't about parking," she told him. "They're running a fiefdom, and Donnelly's in their pocket." Michael arrived, and we noticed neighbors avoiding us, fear palpable. The HOA had crushed dissenters before, gardens destroyed, families harassed. Nora and Michael, with ex-treasurer Clara Mendez, uncovered $600,000 in annual HOA funds diverted to Drake's security salary, Margaret's shell company, and Donnelly's campaign. Secret resident meetings revealed horror stories, fines for noisy kids, threats over disabilities, forced evictions. Retired Judge Edward Langston mapped a decade of harassment, linking property flips to Margaret's cronies. Michael contacted the FBI about Donnelly's corruption. When Margaret sued Nora for $500,000, claiming defamation, Nora saw her chance. "They think I'm cornered," she said. "But I've got a plan, Operation Unveil." The HOA meeting was electric, attendance mandatory under fine threats. Margaret, smug, pushed for our eviction, painting Nora as a violent threat. Drake, in a new badge, blocked allies like the elderly Hendersons. Nora, front row, calm in a blazer, raised her hand after Margaret's tirade, citing bylaws for a response. Edward backed her, quoting rules. Nora's presentation exposed the HOA's fraud: spreadsheets, videos of Drake trespassing, emails plotting resident purges. Residents snapped photos, shouting down Margaret's interruptions. Drake lunged, but neighbors blocked him. Then FBI agent Walker burst in with Chief Sullivan, announcing fraud and corruption charges. Margaret's composure shattered. Drake was arrested for firearm violations and extortion. Residents shared stories of abuse, from banned Christmas lights to torn-down handicap ramps. Drake took a plea for 5 years, testifying against Donnelly. Margaret got 3 years, her wealth seized. Donnelly resigned, indicted for corruption. The case sparked statewide HOA probes. Cedar Valley elected lawyer Rachel Lee as president, slashing fees and rewriting bylaws for transparency. Nora founded Home Shield, a nonprofit offering legal aid and training against HOA abuse, impacting 30 communities in a year. Cedar Valley became a governance model, dubbed the Carter Standard. On the scandal's anniversary, we celebrated in the revamped community center. Nora spoke. The real enemy isn't overseas, it's local tyrants. True power is a united community. The new sign, "Welcome to Cedar Valley, United," glowed at sunset. Nora, smiling, said, "An overstayed Jeep changed everything." Small actions, big impact. Home Shield now operates in 42 states, and Cedar Valley thrives, free from tyranny, its unity a beacon of resilience.